Hey, Mas Mahathir. You
Okay,
are being greeted by yours truly, which is having a horrible voice at the moment. But I'm proudly declaring I'm still a girl, okay?
okay, let's
Good
begin.
afternoon, good morning, everyone. Wow, good to see all of you here today.
Yes, thank you. Fellow Toastmasters and the most welcome guests, welcome to the advanced hashtag Elden Speaker 22, 236 meeting. Well, and my name is Sean. I am the search add-on for today's meeting. Before starting the meeting, there are three ground rules we need to follow during the meeting. First, please stay mute until it is your turn to speak. Second, we encourage you to turn on your camera for wonderful audience interaction if you are available. Third, the meeting will be recorded, and if you are not comfortable to be recorded, you are welcome to turn off your camera, but please stay in the meeting to enjoy and learn as much you can. Now, let's put our hand together to welcome our president live to the virtual stage.
Thank you to our dedicated Sergeant Amshan. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever or whichever part in the world you are. Welcome to Advanced Hashtag Ardent Speaker Toastmaster Club. First, before we start, I would like to acknowledge the presence of our Club Grow Director, Distinguished Toastmaster Patricia Yap, our Area P4 Director, Wendy Ong, our member, who is serving as Division Lachlan Director, Distinguished Toastmaster Alicia Curtis, and to fellow members who are joining us and members, other members from other club who are joining us today, welcome to the club. Now, as the workshop means impactful story, every one of us has a story to tell. Now, how to make it impactful? This session will be led by our speaker, Mas Mahathir. To make this session start, we'd like to invite our Toastmaster of the day, the ever cheerful Division L Director, who is our member as well, Distinguished Toastmaster Alicia Curtis, to start the session. Alicia, I will hand over the session to you now.
Thank you very much, Lai, and welcome to today's session. We will be recording today's session, so if you do not want to be on camera, please keep your camera off at all times. And we do encourage at the end to ask questions. But first, let's get on the road and let's start with the introduction of a dear friend of mine, Mas Mahathir. Mas Mahathir has been in Toastmasters for a period of time. We'll have to guess how long he has been in. He's the co-founder and managing director of Infinex Consultancy since 2017, and he still is running that business. He's the principal and trainer and co-founder of McFront Public Speaking, sounds like McDonald's, a man of my heart, and it has 16 outlets and still counting since 2017. He's the board governor at Aspiration International School since 2022, but most notably, he has won the District 51 International Speech Contest on multiple occasions. But above all, in 2025, he placed second at the World Championship of Public Speaking, as well as third in 2022. Please welcome Mas Mahathir with How to Tell Impactful Stories here with us at Advanced Hashtag Ardent Speakers today. Please welcome Mas.
Thank you so much, Alicia, and a very good afternoon, semua kawan-kawan semua, rakan-rakan sekalian, yeah, and all my friends from all around the world. Welcome to How to Tell Impactful Stories. Now, I've been going on a tour to share this concept with multiple districts, and I've had the pleasure and joy to share these techniques. So hopefully when you use these techniques in your international speech contest, you'll be able to elevate your speeches to another level. Now, I do have a few people who have seen this workshop before. For example, like Ravin, he should be my facilitator. He should stand next to me and run this workshop with me. But nonetheless, I'm going to give it my all because I believe there are members in this room who have never heard of these techniques before, and maybe you would like to use these techniques to grow your speeches or even in your personal life. Now, before I get started and share my screen, I would like to just ask you a simple question, just to see where we are at. Let's say, for example, we all can agree that stories are easier to remember than sharing facts alone. I think we are all on the same boat, right? We all can agree to that. But my question to you is, there is a research that's been done that actually quantified the amount of times. So how many times do you think stories are easier to remember than facts alone? Is it 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times? Can you type in the chat? What do you think? How many times do you think it's easier for people to remember stories as compared to facts? 5 times. Not bad. Not bad. Okay, we have 5 times as well. Not bad. 3 times, 10 times, 10 times, 3 times. Not bad, not bad. 1 time, okay. 3 times, 4 times, 8 times. Can I be honest? Not close. Not close. Try another number. And I'll recommend going a little bit higher. Oh, 100 times is a bit too far.
20 times, 20 times.
Okay, very good. Okay. Alicia Kang is very close. Alicia Kang is very, very close by just 1 number different. So what do you think? By 1 number of difference. Yes, there we go. We got Jeanette 22 times. 22 times. So that means that when you share your stories, whether in a contest setting or whether in a personal setting, people will remember that better than facts alone. So that's why in today's day and age, we don't just have data sharing, we have data storytelling as well. But in all boards of storytelling, there are some fundamental rules that we need to apply to bring our stories to another level. And that's why today we have this topic on how to tell impactful stories. Now, let me just see where we are at, because everybody has a different level of where we are when it comes to storytelling. So in this next activity, I just like you to show me 1 finger up if you agree to the statement. If you agree to the next statement, a next finger up. If you agree to the third statement, then another finger up. This is for me to kind of gauge where we are when it comes to storytelling. All right? So let's see. Number 1, do you agree that storytelling is important in today's world? If you agree, can you just show me 1? Not bad, not bad. We've got a few. And keep it up, keep it up, keep it up. Next one, do you agree that stories are easier to remember than facts alone? 2. So we have some 2s now. We have some 2s. Last one. Do you agree that you are a master storyteller? Okay. So some actually dropped from 2 to 0 and some drop 1. That's fine. That's fine. But here's the beautiful thing. The beauty of this is today on a Monday morning, a Monday afternoon for some of us, we all came here with the same mindset and we agreed that storytelling is important. We agreed that stories are easier to remember. Some of us may not feel that we are a master storyteller yet. But before joining this workshop, we all started at a 0. But today, just at the start of the workshop, we have made progress. We're now at number 2. That's great. So hopefully by the end of this workshop, we will increase that number to a 3. Okay? So what are the techniques to tell better stories? Very easy. After reading countless books on storytelling, working with world champion coaches and different parts of presentation coaches as well, I've distilled it down to a very simple way for us to remember. STORY, story. When you want to use these storytelling tools, you don't necessarily have to use all of them, but a combination of them will make your stories come to life. So let's get started with number 1. S. When it comes to telling a story, it is no doubt you must have some form of scenery. Scenery here means the details. What are the details that you could share with us to help the audience to picture something that's happening in your story? It could be the timeline. It could be the location. It could be the character details. Tell us so that we can picture something. If we are able to picture something in our minds, you are engaging us passively. Now, here's the thing. You want to make sure that how you share these sceneries touches on the human senses. Help us to see it, help us to feel it, hear it, touch it, and taste it if possible. I'll give you an example. In 2022, when I competed in the World Championship of Public Speaking, there was a finalist who's the world number 2 that time. He managed to touch on one of the key emotions, key senses that helps the audience to feel something, right? He was talking about his no-bake cake. And the way that he delivered the speech, you could almost taste the coffee, you could almost taste the biscuit that he was telling you. And the beauty of it all, at the end of his speech, he actually got the district leaders to pass out the no-bake cakes to the people in the room. That is such an amazing thing, right? So by adding all these sceneries, helping us to see, feel, taste, touch, and hear, you make the audience engaged. So here is something that I'd like you to try out. Let's say I want you to just reflect right now. Think about your first time experience in a Toastmasters meeting, which means this is your very first time entering a Toastmasters meeting. And I want you to think of it in 20 seconds when you're delivering it. What happened? Don't add sceneries yet. Just think of it as it is. Okay? Just think of it. And I'm going to choose randomly 1 or 2 volunteers. Can I get Shui? Yes, Shui. I want you to share with me. No sceneries involved. Just share with me, how did you enter your first Toastmasters experience? No scenery.
I thought because my friend invited me in the group chat and I entered Toastmaster meeting and I was very amazed. There are so many foreigners.
Yeah, not bad. So the way that she's sharing is no scenery, right? She saw a friend's message to join Toastmasters. She joined Toastmasters, a lot of people there. Great. Now, let's elevate that experience. I want you to add in the sceneries for me. Start off by sharing the timeline. When did it take place? Give us the location. Give us some details about what's happening at that Toastmasters meeting, but still keep it under 20 seconds. Ready? Let's go.
Wow. It was 2021 January. There were so many people and I was amazed. Mostly they are white people and they are speaking fluently. Such an amazing meeting. And that was a Toastmaster meeting.
Not bad. Much better. Let's give her a hand. Well done, Shui. Now, do you see where did she added the sceneries? She added a timeline. It was 2021 January. And the reason why it's so powerful to add a certain time frame into your speech is because you want the audience to picture the moment in that time frame. Some of us in 2020, 2021, 2022, we could almost picture how that world looked like at that time. It was COVID. Some of us are at home. We are probably having our own home office. So a lot of things can happen because just by mentioning the year that it took place. She also added, she met a lot of foreigners, right? Some are white folks who are in the room as well. The room is big. So these kind of things elevate the experience of your story. So keep in mind, when you are telling your next story in your international speech or your Pathways project, can you give us enough information, enough scenes so that we can picture what's happening? Okay? Now let's move on to the next one. Before I share the next one, I'm going to share this disclaimer as well. Although sceneries are important to be shared, do you think that we should share more sceneries or just enough? What do you think? More or enough? Can you type in the chat for me? More or enough? Enough, just enough. Right. And we all can agree to this, right? All of us agree here, just enough. And here's the reason why. We all know why, but maybe some of us may want to know the deeper reason why. The deeper reason is this. The more information or sceneries you add to your story, the more difficult it is for your audience to picture or to put themselves in your story. Because now, when you give just enough information, in my head, in my brain, I can almost picture it in my version of your story. So if she were to say, in 2021 January, it is my version of 2021 January. She was in a big room, it is my version of a big room. She saw a few white folks. It is my version of how that white folk looked like. But if she were to give me too many information, for example, the room was big. On the corner, there was a filter water with a lot of biscuits on the side, and the table were in a U shape. People were standing and sitting. So my brain now requires a lot more computational power to process that, and it becomes harder to engage. So the question here is this: is it a good thing to share? And we all can agree, no. So that's why the second tool comes in. Take those scissors and start trimming. You need to trim those information and only keep the ones that would add value to the overall message and central theme of your story. So cut down on unnecessary words, get to the point of your story. So here is my mission for all of you. I'm going to share with you a story. And I want you to really look at this story and identify what parts can I trim out but still remain the message and still remain the impact of this story. So in order for us to tell this story, I'm going to choose a volunteer here and someone who has a very powerful voice. Can I get Alicia? Yeah, Alicia Curtis. Yeah, you seem to be a perfect person to tell this story. So, as you're telling the story, I want you to tell it with passion, as though this is your story. Okay? So, I'm going to review one line by line. Yeah? All right, go for
Okay.
it.
I was in a huge mall in the heart of Kuala Lumpur, 2023. While walking around the mall, I noticed that people were constantly looking at me, smiling at me. Not just the girls, but the guys too. I thought to myself, man, I must be really good looking today. I continued walking around the mall, but with my chest puffed up, all proud. After walking for 15 minutes, I had to use the restroom because I drank too much water before reaching the shopping mall. So I tried to find the toilet, which took me another 10 minutes. And finally, I reached the toilet. So, in the toilet, I usually wash my hands first before using the cubicle, and there it was. I looked at the mirror, and I finally realized why people were smiling at me. My zipper was down.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Alicia.
you.
Wow, I love the way you brought the story to life. Huh? Okay, now we can all agree this is way too much information, way too much scenery details as well. There are parts where we can cut off but still remain the impact of this story. Right now, if you look at the bottom right of this slide, you will see that it is 142 words. That's a lot. Now, here's the danger. In the World Championship of Public Speaking, every word counts. You don't want to go overtime because just of a few extra words. So my mission for all of you right now is I'm going to give you about 1 minute or so, 1 to 2 minutes. Look at this story. Where would you cut out? What would you remove but still remain the key impact of this story? Let's go, 1 to 2 minutes. And when you have an answer, just type in the chat. Where will you cut? What do you think can go? Bullet point 1, bullet point 2, fourth paragraph. Yeah. What else? What else? From 142 words, can you condense it down? Make it more concise? Part of paragraph 2 makes sense? Makes sense? There are some irrelevant information there. All of paragraph 4. Good, good. I like how you guys are thinking. Part of paragraph 5, yeah. Fifth paragraph. Ooh, Michelle's like, wow, almost cut everything. 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. Okay. In fact, I love the answers that you're sharing. And here's the thing, here's the beauty about trimming, taking the scissors to trim. Trimming is a very personal process. Some people trim certain parts of the speech because they feel that it's irrelevant to their experience, but some people would keep certain things because they wanted to maintain certain humor or impact or jokes, whatever not, right? So it's a very personal experience. So if it were me, then here is where I would cut. From 142 words, I would cut it down to 95 words. Yeah. So let's explore. Again, it's very personal, but this is what I would do. Let's think of line by line. I was in a huge mall. Nobody needs to care whether it's huge or small, so we cut that out. Heart of Kuala Lumpur, nah, we don't need that. Go straight to Kuala Lumpur. While walking around the mall, nope, we are already in the mall, so you don't have to tell us about that. Then we go to paragraph 4. I continued walking around the mall, but you can cut off but, make it casual, go straight to it. But I agree with some of you. You don't really need to say you continue around the mall, right? Then after that, do the audience need to know whether you drank too much water before the mall? Absolutely not. We don't care. And the next part, you try to find the toilet and then you finally find the toilet after 10 minutes. Too much information. And whether you wash your hands before or after, again, not necessary, right? So as you can see, if you were to retell the story, only the white parts, the message will still be there. The impact will still be there. Yet all this irrelevant fluff, you can take it out, just like Jenga. Yeah, that's right, Jeanette. You want to cut out all those unnecessary words. The beauty of storytelling is this. When you're telling something or presenting something, think of the Chekhov's gun rule. The Chekhov's gun rule is whatever you bring up in your story must have some form of closure in your story, which means whatever you bring up must have some use in the end. If not, the people will be asking, wait a minute, Mahathir talked about going to the toilet and finding for 10 minutes. Why didn't he bring back the toilet scene again in the end of the story, right? So if it was not needed at the end, do you need it at the start? That is the rule of Chekhov's gun, okay? So trim whatever is not necessary, but still maintain the essence of the speech. Now, let's go on to the next one. Let me spell Chekhov's gun for you so you can search this up. It's a writing technique. There you go. Chekhov's gun. Or without the C, actually. C-H-E-C-H-O-V. Yeah, there you go. Okay, moving on to the next technique. Most of the time, people have this misconception that you need to start your story with the context, what's happening, who is the characters, where is it taking place, but not necessary. In today's day and age, I believe you will all agree with me. Our attention span is getting shorter and shorter because of TikTok, because of Reels, because of whatever not. And because of this, you want to grab your audience's attention right from the start. So don't start off or try to think of a story where you can start off with the action immediately to put us at the edge of our seats. Yeah. So here is an example. Instead of sharing with us, let's say a Toastmasters speech experience, whether it's a contest speech or your very first speech, instead of telling us what happened, where were you immediately at the start, can you start straight with the action of that story? For this, I'm going to choose a volunteer, and I think the perfect volunteer for this would be Dominic. Dominic, you look like a great guy to share this.
Yes, sir.
All right, Dominic, here's my mission for you. Start off by sharing with no action at the start your first Toastmasters speech experience, whether a contest or a normal speech. How or what happened, where were you, who were you before then, and all that.
The icebreaker speech, the first speech that took place sometime in 1995, I was totally nervous because the other club members in Taman Indrahana were very good. And I was rather intimidated when I came in for my icebreaker speech. But the minute I started and got warmed up, I believe the story of myself flowed.
Very good. Nice. Now, so when you hear the way Dominic started his speech, right? He set up the scene. It was a long time ago, 1991, if I'm not mistaken, and he was giving his icebreaker speech, right? And he was nervous. Now, let's tweak this. If we all can help Dominic here, where do you think is the action of his speech? Can you type in the chat? What moment was the action of his speech? He started in the 1990s, gave his first icebreaker. He was in a Toastmasters meeting. He was nervous. He was struggling a little bit, but after a while, he warmed up. He delivered his message. But where is the action of that story? At what moment? When he was? What do you think?
In front, staring at 20 pairs of eyes.
Very good. When the eyes were looking at him and he was nervous, right? And oh, okay, interesting. When he describing how good the members of club, not bad, Diana. That is, but there is a bigger action in that story. Now, to me, the biggest action in that story is the moment that he was nervous when the eyes were looking at him. So, Dominic, here's what I like you to do. We're going to retell that story again, but I want you to start with that action. Start with the moment when you were nervous. Start with the moment when the eyes were looking at you. Then only you tell us the other parts of the story. Let's try.
As I entered the stage, as I walked on the stage, when my name was introduced, all the 30 pairs of eyes were looking at me. I was nervous, and what was going through the mind is, what are they thinking of me as a member, as a trainer, as a speaker? And it was nervous. I could feel the nervousness in my tongue, in the words, the first few words that I uttered. But the minute I began, after a minute or so, and I was warmed up, and the members being very supportive by the nodding of their heads and acknowledgement of what I'm saying, the nervousness began to leave me. And I
Nice.
became
Thank
a
you
bit
so
more
much, Dominic.
comfortable. And that's it.
Yeah. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. I love it. Now your story has an action opening. From before, you said it was this time, and then there was a stage, and then you went up to give your icebreaker. But this time, because you started with the action, people were more excited to know what happened. So, in a way, it would sound something like this. I was on stage, 30 eyes looking at me, and I was nervous. My legs were jelly, my hands were jelly, heck, my whole body was jelly, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to say. Friends, I'm sure you've been in this situation before, and then you continue your story on, okay? Getting that action at the start will really bring us in. All right, so there you go. The O. Now let's go to the R. R here stands for reel, and it's not your Instagram reel. It's like a fishing rod reeling the audience in. And throughout your presentation, you have many opportunities to reel them in. It shouldn't just be one moment. If you can have many or multiples, it will be great. Reel here means that you can ask questions to engage them. How many of you here have the same experience? Raise of hands. Or you can ask rhetorical questions. I'm sure you have experienced this before too, right? These are the things. Now, for those who are not sure, rhetorical questions simply means that questions that you do not need them to answer. Yeah. The beauty of asking questions to engage or rhetorical questions to reflect is that you bring your audience to the same story as you. You almost get them to be the main characters of your story because they can relate with you. Now, if I were to show this as an example, that was the only teacher that inspired me. What is a follow-up question that you can reel us in so that I could either reflect or engage with you? Can you type in the chat? That was the only teacher that inspired me. What is a follow-up question you could ask? So you engage the audience or you get them to reflect. Oh, yeah. Okay. So how would that inspire me? Okay, not bad, not bad. Would you want to know why? Interesting one. I love this, Ravin. Very nice. Because it can be played in many angles, right? How does he or she inspire me? Can you relate to having an inspiration? Beautiful, beautiful. What was his special power? Interesting. Do you have the same person that has impacted you? Nice, very good. Because if you are sharing your own story about your own inspiration, people usually don't care. But now you draw in the same way, you start getting the audience to think of their person of inspiration. So now they are on the same wavelength as you, right? Beautiful. Who inspired you in your life? Do you want to know? Right. So you can see, right, the power of reels. So don't just tell your story as it is. If you have opportunities to reel them in, perfect. Okay? Now, last but not least, this is the final technique here. This technique usually makes or breaks your story. Now, I know the last technique has a Y word, but drop the Y first and think of another letter. And this letter starts with D. In any story, without this D word, your story wouldn't come to life. You would end up reporting your story, not reliving your story. What do you think this D word is? Drama? Not bad. Delivery? Not bad. I'm looking for a different word. Direction? Not bad, but not quite yet. Description? Not quite yet. Did you know? Not quite. Distinction? Not quite. There's a difference, yeah? When you add this in, suddenly you're reliving the story. You're not reporting it. Very good, Patricia. Dialogues. Dialogue is the one that would help bring the story to life. It makes a scene becomes a scenario. There's a difference there, right? And to make it easy for everyone, I put it as your conversations. Why? Because it's not limited to just dialogues. Because it can be conversations with yourself. What are your internal thought processes? What are you thinking, feeling at that point of time, right? So when you're sharing conversations with yourself or with other people, you're bringing them to your current world, almost as it's happening at that point of time. So if I were to say an example like this, Jane asked me if I was married and I rejected her. I'm going to get a gentleman to share this, yeah? Can I get our division P Z1? Yes. I'm so sorry your name is not there, so I'm just going to call you by your Zoom name, which is division PZ1. Can you share with me an example? How would you add dialogues into this scene or conversations into this scene? Shan. Thank you, Patricia. Yeah, Shan. Are you there, Shan? Okay, maybe Shan is not available at the moment. No worries. Then I'm going to call Lucky. Yeah, I haven't called Lucky in a long time already. Lucky, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, Lucky, here's a scenario. Jane asked you if you were married and you rejected her. So this is reporting a story. I want you to
Any
relive
question?
that experience.
Sorry to FJ.
Yeah, no worry. We'll get Lucky, yeah? So Lucky is going to share with us what is the way that you're going to add your conversations here. How would you add some dialogues to spice this up?
Oh my God, that was 50 years ago. No, I can't think of it. Sorry.
Okay, no worries. I'll help Lucky here. I'll start off with what he said. Oh my God, that was 50 years ago. A beautiful lady, Jane, walked up to me. She said, Lucky, are you married? And I was stunned because I looked at my hand. I had a ring, but I looked at her. She was so beautiful and I didn't know what to say. But deep down, my wife was telling me, Lucky, say no. And I said, yes, I'm not married. Something like that. Okay. For example. So I know Lucky is a very faithful guy. But yeah, you see that, right? Just by adding a little bit of dialogues, conversations into your story, you're bringing it to life. So remember, don't report it, relive it. Okay. So to put everything together, we have the STORY. You all remember it, right? S stands for scenery. T stands for you're trimming it. O stands for open with the action. real whenever you have an opportunity to, and share conversations between yourself or with other people. Putting them all together, using the right techniques in your story, you will be able to bring it to life. But remember, everything requires practice, because at the start of the day, we all agree that storytelling skills is important. We all agree that stories are easier to remember than facts alone. Tie them up with the STORY, practice it hard enough, and I'm sure you too can be a master in storytelling. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, keep sharing your stories, keep inspiring people with your stories. Thank you very much. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Maz. Big, huge round of applause. Let's give him a huge round of applause. Let's give him a very special advanced hashtag Ardent. Thank you, Maz, because we always like to do that. So if we can all unmute ourselves and do this. Okay, unmute ourselves, guys, because we always like to go over the top here. So 3, 2, 1, unmute, because we're going to thank him and give him a love heart.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Maz.
you.
Thank you.
Such an honor.
Thank you. Thank you
In
so
my
much.
broken voice.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you so much.
All right. I'm just going to
you.
make sure that I'm continuing on as the FAQ master. Or Pat, are you doing that? Did you want me to continue on?
Susan
Or
is Susan is gonna,
Okay.
but you're gonna come back to do the Ask Mahathir or anything, because you're gonna make
Okay.
it spicy. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I'll make it spicy with no silver suits, Maz. I promise, no silver suits. There's a joke behind that. We will explain that later. I'm going to hand over to our Vice President of Membership here at Advanced hashtag Ardent Speakers, Shui Sin. Please take it away, Shui Sin.
Thank you so much, our Toastmaster of the day, and special thanks to our speaker, Mas Mahathir, like always being my inspiration. I do share his speeches a lot with all of my students, and they all love his speeches, even the kids here in Bangkok or in Myanmar. So everybody, I believe you could join a lot, you could enjoy his sharing, and now it is time to ask the question to our speaker. So just grab the chance, do not miss this golden chance, okay? So let's get started. You can even unmute yourself and ask the question, or maybe you can also type it in the chat, all right? So anyone, we have 38 people and who would love to ask the question? Okay, if no one, let me ask one question. So most of the people they put some stories in the speech, and how many stories it's the maximum to put it in a speech, 5 to 7 minute speech? Yeah.
Well, that's a very good question. Different people have different ways of telling their stories. Some people like the 3-story approach. Some people like the 1-story approach. And there are cases where people share 2-story approach. And I've tried all 3 before: 1-story, 2-story, 3-story approach. And it's a very personal touch because it depends on what is the overall message that you're trying to convey. And if you can convey that in one single story, why not, right? Some people use multiple stories because they want to elevate the clarity of the message, because in 3 different points of time. So it really depends on you. With that being said, there is a limit. Because it's a 5 to 7 minute speech, you don't want to go too many stories. So 3 would be the maximum that I would touch on. If there's 4, 5, 6, you won't be giving a 5 to 7 minute speech. You'll be giving a 45-minute keynote in that sense. Yeah. And here's the thing: less is more. That is the key that I live by. Tell just enough to get the message clear.
Okay, thank you so much. Less is more. This is very beautiful message. All right, now, okay, let's see. We got a question in the chat. Oh, okay, not yet. Anyone want to ask the question?
Yeah, I raised my hand.
Oh, I see. Okay, yes.
Hi, Mas Mahathir. I want to ask that how we want to choose a perfect title or a perfect values that's suitable for the audience to make ourselves compete and can be the next you in future. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Michelle. And so good to see you again. How do you come up with a perfect title for the audience? Wow, that's a very, very tough question. Now, here's the beautiful thing about telling your stories and presenting a speech, right? The title is the one that is supposed to set the stage for your speech that's going to happen. So the way that I like to think about a title is it needs to grab the audience's attention enough but not to the point where it gets confusing. And at the same time, it should not be crystal clear that the audience can predict what your story is about. Let me give you an example. Let's say, for example, my story is about how we need to be grateful with the people in our lives, and my title is Be Grateful. So the audience will kind of already know that my speech is about someone or me. I'm going to be grateful somehow, right? So it doesn't create that kind of impact anymore. So when you think of the title of your story, think of it in an angle where can it incite curiosity in the audience's mind? At the same time, it's not too far-fetched or too confusing that the audience might be thinking, why did he mention that as his title? Yeah. So the thing is this, yeah, craft your story first. Craft your story first and uncover the title later. Most people, they may start with the title first and then write the story, which is fine. But in order for you to find a really good title, craft it out and uncover it. You'll be able to find some hidden gems here that will make the title pop. I hope that answers the question.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you so much, Michelle, for asking the question. Very nice. So yes, everybody craft your speech first and then you uncover the title later. All right, now we do have another question. How to incorporate hero's journey technique in any short story? What would be a recommended speech time to use this technique effectively?
I think a hero's journey story can be fitted into any time. For example, in a 2-minute speech doing table topics, you could also use a hero's journey. You could do it in a 3-minute, 5-minute, 10-minute, 45-minute, 1-hour story. It really doesn't matter. I think what really matters here is how do you use the time effectively, which is the second question that you brought up, Patricia. Now, here's the thing. In a 5 to 7-minute speech, since this is a more Toastmaster-centric storytelling and also a contest setting, in a 5 to 7-minute speech, you want to spend more time developing on, number one, the conflict, number two, the change. Yeah, the conflict and the change. And why, to me, these two areas are most important is because the conflict is what gets people excited in your story. The context, people kind of, okay, sure, we know what's happening. The climax, the lowest part of your story, sure, you can share the depth of your story, but don't go too deep, because when you go too deep, it's very hard to bring you back up, right? So the conflict gets us excited. The change gets us inspired. Yeah. So that's where you want to put a little bit more time to focus on. And finally, at the end, the call to action message, you don't want to spend too much time there as well, because too much time spent there, you will sound very preachy. Yeah, you should do this because you can do that. You can do this. You can. So to me personally, I spend more time on the conflict and the change. Yeah, I hope that answers your question as well.
Right, thank you so much. Yes, this is very good technique for all the contestants too. Thank you. And now we do have one more from Betty. She said, if a speaker has set a title for his speech, but until the end, totally no mention of the title, is this good?
Whoa, I love this. Okay, thank you so much, Betty, for asking this question. Personally, for me, I think no, it's not a good idea. Because at the end of the speech, your audience might be thinking, then why did the speaker set this title? So it becomes like as I mentioned just now in the chat, right? Chekhov's gun. Whatever you bring up must have some form of closure at the end. So if you mention something, let's say if I mention chicken rice as my title, right? And my speech has nothing to do with chicken rice or chicken or even rice, then the audience might be thinking, then why did he mention chicken rice at the start of the speech? So there must be a connection from your title and also your story. That way, when it clicks, when the audience suddenly realize the click there, oh, that's where the learning happens. That's where the learning sticks. So for example, like raindrops, if I were to mention raindrops as my title, but there's no raindrops lessons in the story, the audience will not be able to click and they will be distracted. But when they click with the lesson and the raindrops lesson, that's where the learning sticks longer. Yeah. Thanks for asking that, Betty.
Okay, thank you so much. We have one more. Let's invite DTM Ravindra.
Thank you, Susan. Sir, thank you for the awesome presentation and excellent responses to all the questions. I have one that has been plaguing me for quite some time. A typical contest speech consists of three elements. A huge chunk storytelling. Then there's the persuasion part, make it persuasive, which is your take-home message. And all throughout is sprinkled with humor where possible. My question to you, sir, is how much of that 5 to 7 minute speech should be the storytelling and how much of it should be the persuasion? Because at the end of the day, persuasion is the one that cements, because that's a take-home message. If it's entirely story, you may lose out the take-home message. So where do we stand on this? Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Ravin. Lovely question as well. So to answer this question, let's break down the speech into multiple components. Now, when we break down the speech, right, you will start to see that majority of the chunk is on the story. You want to tell the story so that people can follow you, walk with you on this journey as well. This is where the technique just now, as I mentioned, reel is very important. Reeling your audience in, whether to use relatability lines, for example, maybe in my situation, maybe you have the same situation like me, maybe you've experienced the same challenges as I did. Things like that will bring the audience on the same journey as you, and they will stay engaged. It is only challenging for the audience to follow along if they felt that your story is too unique and too personal to you. That's why the saying goes, right? Your stories can be unique, but not too unique, but ultimately your message should be universal. And in order for your message to be universal, you need to get them to be on the same boat as you, be relatable with them, right? Get the same frequency, same wavelength, same relatable experiences. So now let's break down into the persuasive aspect. Yeah. Thank you for the timer. Yeah, I'll just wrap up this part very quickly, yeah? So for your persuasive aspect, the persuasive aspect already starts happening while your story is progressing. Because you're winning like checkpoints, For example, you're winning points as the story goes along. They nod their head, they understood, they feel that they can walk the same journey as you. And then the last point where you're persuading them, you don't have to mention so much. You just have to mention enough because the story has already done the weightlifting for you, as long as you have made them be on the same journey with you. Does that answer your question? Yeah, thank you so much, Robin. Lovely
Because
question.
this is the answer I was looking for. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody, for asking the question. And thank you, Mas, for answering. Thank you. Now, I would love to give the control back to Alicia Curtis. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Tracy, and let's give her a huge round of applause. Before we go to let's ask Maz anything further, let's take a group photo. I think we need to have our group photos, paparazzi moment. Shan, how are we going for doing that?
Yes, just do here. 1, 2, 3. Okay, just wait a moment, another picture. And 1, 2, 3. Okay, perfect.
Thank you so much, Shan. Really appreciate that. Now, I'll just make sure that I've lined up everything correctly before we continue on. I just want to make sure, do we have to hand out the certificate or do we want to do that completely at the end, my friends? I'm just having a look. Ask. Okay, so yeah, we're going to do the acknowledgements. So let's actually do the certificate of appreciation to our lovely keynote speaker. Of course, that's Mas. I know that Patricia hasn't really got a voice at the moment. Lai, are you there? Did you want to do that as well as the president?
Yeah, sure. Say thank you everyone for joining us in this workshop today. I believe everyone have learned something from the 5 simple words story to try to apply and practice it in your future speech to make it impactful, like what Mas has shared. And now we go for the pitch part. Nisha. Yeah, Shan is ready. Okay, hide spotlight him first. Okay. I will take picture. Mas, get ready. 1, 2, 3. Okay, taken. Next one. Sean? Yeah. Alicia. Sui Sin. Hey, Sui Sin. Found Franco.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, so you looking. Hey, and Sean. Okay, Sean. And the spotlight. Okay. Take the photo now. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay, done. And back to you, Alicia, for the next session.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Lai. And let's
Sean,
because I know
stop the
some people
recording.
will
Sean.
Yes, Sean, please stop the recording because this is the one where we can get a little bit more hot and spicy with the questions.